Welcome to Top 30. Here are today's top 30 stories in 30 minutes. For most Americans, housing costs are their largest expense, averaging about $1,575 a month, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. USA Today released a few ideas to help homeowners and renters save money on housing costs. One idea, downsize. If you're in a place with a lot of extra space, see if a smaller home would work. But before you do, just keep in mind hidden costs like home repairs, moving expenses, and HOA fees. You could also lower your monthly payment. Homeowners can refinance their mortgage, and renters can negotiate with their landlord. Landlords want to keep good tenants, and it can take time, effort, and money to find another renter. Another option is saving money by living with a roommate. A permanent roomie offers a steady income, but you can also rent out rooms for a short-term basis by using sites like Airbnb. Most financial experts say you should spend about 25 to 30% of your monthly income on housing. So if you're above that number, you may be spreading yourself too thin.
Homeopathic remedies are often marketed as all-natural, safe alternatives to Western medicine. Now, they're facing new regulations. The Food and Drug Administration will be targeting products it says could be unsafe for patients. The FDA is especially concerned about products that contain dangerous substances, are given through injections, are intended for kids, or say they cure serious conditions like cancer or heart disease. Homeopathy is based on ideas dating to the 18th century. People who practice it believe that diseases can be cured by taking small doses of the substance that causes those same symptoms. It's been mostly debunked by modern science, but that hasn't stopped it from growing into a $3 billion a year industry. FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb said, quote, "People may be placing their trust and money in therapies that may bring little to no benefit, or worse, that may cause significant and even irreparable harm." The president of a group of homeopathic pharmacists said the move won't affect most of the products on the market. Critics of homeopathy praise the rules, saying they will benefit consumers.
Buying big-ticket appliances is something you might be considering in the new year. Well, if this is the case, you should consider which products last longest and how to keep them going strong well past their expiration date. According to the Hartford Courant, appliance technician Scott Garrett says he likes to see most appliances last an average of 10 years. DigitalTrends.com says gas oven ranges last longer than electric ones. Refrigerators with the freezer on top and the fridge on bottom have a better lifespan than the side-by-side options, and top-loading washing machines and dryers are more durable than their stackable counterparts. Also, for appliances like washing machines, refrigerators, and dishwashers, nothing keeps their lifespan going like regularly scheduled maintenance and cleaning. Like anything you buy, specialists recommend that you read reviews thoroughly before buying, and note that being more expensive doesn't mean an appliance will last longer, because much like your own human body, preventative care makes for the best outcome.
Airplane companies of the past definitely subscribe to the bigger is better philosophy, but their efforts to entice airlines into these large purchases weren't always successful. Thankfully, the discarded designs were saved from the trash bin and preserved in the Boeing archives for all of us to enjoy. For instance, what better way to bring the nightlife into your nighttime flight than when McDonnell Douglas's proposed disco, showcasing your sweet moves under the red lights of your red eye. Tired of sitting for hours? Hit the treadmill or bike in this gym that never was. Can you think of a better way to experience turbulence than when your heart rate is already elevated? Or you got Boeing's downstairs lounge, which must have been decorated by a time-traveling Mike Myers. This is a lounge only Austin Powers would enjoy. Yeah, baby. Good or bad, these are all a lot cooler than the perks of today's flights, of course. Free peanuts while being scrunched up like a ball with no legroom.
An animal named DOG is getting a lot of publicity for helping train canines. May sound pretty normal until you learn that DOG is a CAT, a cat. The fluffy black and white cat plays a very important role at Support Dogs Inc. in St. Louis. Workers there say the cat is fearless and will do things to distract the dogs. This allows trainers to teach the dogs focus, which is very important since they'll eventually be helping people who are deaf and have mobility issues. So hats off to you, DOG. Hopefully you get plenty of catnip or dog treats, whichever you prefer, for all of your hard work.
Every year there are more than 6 million car accidents in the US. Scientists are trying to figure out why. Researchers at the University of Michigan conducted a survey for the Department of Transportation about the cause of car crashes. The most common cause of accidents was not staying in your lane or even on the road. That accounts for about a third of all crashes. Experts say that's due to distractions like cell phones or looking at other car crashes next to the road. Being rear-ended was the second most common collision, with between 23 and 30%. Safety experts blame the misconception that hurrying will save time. Not seeing hazards accounted for 12% of all crashes. An example would be making a left-hand turn with a blocked view of oncoming traffic. 36% of all accidents had something in common. They took place while the car was turning or crossing an intersection. Experts say to slow down and pay attention. We've got at least a few years until self-driving cars do all the work for us. Researchers are using the electric eel as inspiration for a potential medical breakthrough. The eel generates charges of electricity using thousands of specialized cells and organs throughout its body. Scientists examined how the cells worked and replicated it. They were able to create electricity with the device, but only about a third of the power as the eel. They hope to update the prototype to one day be able to power items in the body like pacemakers and prosthetic organs. The current version runs on salt and water, but the plan is to create a way for it to run on bodily fluids. If this works, who knows what other underwater creatures we can use for the next medical breakthrough. Here's your top 30 health roundup. It turns out talking to ourselves in our heads may pretty much be the same thing as speaking out loud. A study from the University of New South Wales in Australia found that when we're about to speak, our brain actually predicts what our voice will sound like. This prediction allows us to discriminate between our own voice and other people's. Lead researcher Dr. Thomas Whitford said, quote, "This research opens the door to understanding how inner speech might be different in people with psychotic illnesses such as schizophrenia." Next, a study from Vanderbilt University Medical Center found brain lesions could trigger criminal activity depending on where the lesion is located in the brain. A brain lesion is a spot on the brain which can be caused by trauma, tumor, stroke, aneurysm, or epilepsy, among other causes. Researchers examined MRI and CT scans of 40 people with brain lesions associated with criminal behavior, a medical phenomenon known as acquired sociopathy. They found when lesions occur within the parts of the brain responsible for morality and value-based decision-making, the individual may be predisposed to criminal behavior. And lastly, most of our bodies are made up of particles that originally came from stars. The Big Bang gave our universe hydrogen and helium, the two lightest elements. These two elements alone make up 98% of the universe. But heavier elements like oxygen, carbon, and nitrogen came from supernovae, which occur when large stars explode, meaning over 85% of the human body is made from stardust.
Experts are warning there are very real dangers to virtual reality headsets. Once you put the headset on, you're blind to the outside world, presenting potential health risks and injury. Mariantina Gotsis of USC says you can trip and hit your head or break a limb and get seriously hurt, so someone needs to watch over you when you are using VR. Experts also say VR can cause nearsightedness, a condition that has nearly doubled in America since the 70s. Because VR tricks your brain into seeing something in a way it's not used to, it can wreak havoc on your eye-brain connection. The bottom line is that it's still too new to know all the consequences yet, which is also pretty scary.
You can order almost anything on Amazon these days, and soon you may even be able to order a flight to outer space. Amazon's owner, Jeff Bezos, has an aerospace company, and it just launched a newly designed capsule into outer space. The capsule has huge windows, giving potential space tourists a great view from above. The launch we're showing you now had a dummy on board named Mannequin Skywalker. He didn't do much, but Bezos tweeted, quote, "Unlike him, you'll be able to get out of your seat during the zero-G part of the flight." So far, there's no word on a price for these space flights, but they could start as early as 2019. If they need a media escort, I'm ready to go.
Bitcoin is a virtual currency, but it has a very real cost: energy consumption. The Washington Post reported several experts say Bitcoin uses about 1 to 4 billion watts of electricity in a year, as much as 1 to 3 nuclear reactors. Others say the figure is higher. Digiconomist estimates in 1 year, Bitcoin uses as much energy as the entire country of Denmark. Newsweek said that Bitcoin could use all of the world's electricity by 2020. The consumption has to do with the way Bitcoin is created. People mine Bitcoin by solving large numbers of complex math problems online. Those miners create about 3,500 Bitcoins every day. As Bitcoin gets more valuable, those equations get more complicated and require more computing power. Critics say Bitcoin isn't sustainable. The author of one report on Bitcoin energy use said, "We can already do transactions. I don't see how Bitcoin justifies its energy use at the moment." Some Bitcoin supporters disagree. They say because miners want to keep costs down, it could encourage more use of renewable energies like solar or wind. It's difficult to figure out exactly how much energy Bitcoin uses because it's anonymous and worldwide. In today's Hometown Stories from Fox 10 Phoenix, little kids with big ideas. That's what was on display at this year's Children's Business Fair. From bath products to cookies, these kids prove you don't have to be an adult to be an entrepreneur. Event organizer Scott Donnell said the event started in Texas and has now grown to other states.
Kids are just using the creative potential. I mean, they look around for a need in their community, something that they're good at, and then they create a little business and sell it to their friends.
Our next story from Fox 13 Tampa Bay. The local crisis center has a free program checking in on those who are homebound with weekly calls, whether it's to make sure they're eating or just to say hi. Operators like Phyllis Roth say it helps them as well.
I come in and I listen to these people, and by the time I leave, I've got a big smile because I feel like I've done something worthwhile.
Proving a small act like a phone call can make a big improvement in someone's life. Our final story from Fox 46 Charlotte. 15-year-old Noah Rupp was with his dad when they noticed a homeless man out in the cold. Thinking of ways to help, he came across a sleeping bag that was warm, portable, and only cost $15.
This is the way to help these people that maybe can't get to that homeless shelter or just can't find that one place to sleep for that night.
Noah hopes to raise $15,000 to deliver 1,000 sleeping bags to the homeless this winter. To learn how you can help Noah, check out the Top 30 Facebook page.
In the age of Instagram, art museums are no longer passive experiences, they're selfie-making machines. Exhibitions like Yayoi Kusama's Infinity Room, MoMA's Rain Room, and the Museum of Ice Cream make viewers a part of the art by creating picture-perfect backdrops for your latest Instagram post. The deeply engaging quality of the art makes it a participatory experience. By capturing the perfect selfie, the viewer now is part of the artistic process. And many museum curators are tailoring their programming to make it Instagram friendly. Jordan Fernie, founder of the Color Room in San Francisco, told NPR, quote, "Our goal was that every exhibit be 3 things. It would be conceptual, very photogenic, and do well on social media, and be an experience you can't get anywhere else." Others argue that viewing art from behind your phone takes away from critically thinking about the art, which was probably the artist's original intention in the first place. But if Instagram drives people to art museums, can't be all bad, right? Zagat, one of the nation's premier food guides, has released its list of the cities with the most exciting food. While standards like Chicago and San Francisco made the cut, some picks are more surprising. Delivering a big blow to New York's ego, the city didn't even break the top 10, with high rents preventing innovation and demoting the Big Apple to number 15. Another shock? Number 1 on the list, my hometown, Los Angeles, California. Famed food critic Jonathan Gold explained to Food and Wine magazine why LA is foodie worthy. He says, quote, "It's a combination of things, the mosaic of cultures, that we are at the center of a vast agricultural region, and the fact that LA is very friendly to entry-level capitalism." Rounding out the rest of the top 10, Austin, Denver, Seattle, Washington, D.C., Charleston, New Orleans, and Atlanta. This sounds like the making of a delicious and expensive road trip. You have to be 18 years old to vote, 16 years old to drive, and 14 years old to cross the road safely. At least according to a new study. Researchers at the University of Iowa tested a group of kids aged 6 to 14 crossing a simulated road and compared them with a group of adults. The results showed the kids were able to pick the right spot to cross and were just as fast as the adults, but the kids couldn't time exactly when to step off the curb and didn't always have the motor skills to carry out the movement. And as you would expect, the younger the child, the longer it took for them to think about crossing now and making that first step. Everyone over the age of 14 made it across the simulated road safely. Experts say crossing the street is an ongoing developmental goal, and parents can help by showing them to pick big gaps in between cars and moving swiftly and safely.
A Canadian woman drives the biggest truck in the world, but before she could get behind the wheel, she had to overcome abuse, addiction, and homelessness. Kathy Tuccaro grew up in a dysfunctional family. As a child, she was sexually assaulted. When she told her stepfather about it, he beat her. Her circumstances didn't stop Kathy from becoming a professional model. She later had a career as a nurse, but she never coped with the trauma in her past and even suffered more abuse. In her 30s, she turned to alcohol. It cost Kathy her job and her apartment. At 42, Tuccaro was homeless on the streets of Edmonton. One day, a toothless man slapped her on the back and told her, "This is the life." Then and there, she decided to turn things around. Kathy entered a recovery program and has been sober ever since. She also applied to Women Building Futures, which helps women get trade jobs. She worked hard and got hired. 2 years after being on the street, Kathy stood in front of a $7 million Caterpillar truck the size of a house and said, "I'm looking up at this thing with tears in my eyes." The story is enough to fill a book, which is exactly what Kathy did when she wrote her memoir. Kathy has a message for her readers. It doesn't matter what you've been through. Your past will not define who you are today. Why spend 4 years in college when you can drop out to focus on becoming the world's youngest self-made billionaire? Well, it's what tech entrepreneur John Collison did. At 27 years old, he's the youngest self-made billionaire thanks to Stripe, which revolutionized the way online payments are made and is worth an estimated $9.2 billion. When he was just 19 years old, Collison dropped out of Harvard to focus on the tech company he co-founded with his brother Patrick. However, the native of Limerick, Ireland, got a taste of success early. Before the Wonder Kid was even accepted at Harvard in 2009, he was already a millionaire thanks to a software he developed that simplified transactions for sellers on eBay. But Collison abandoned school to move west to Silicon Valley and start Stripe with his brother. The company went public in 2011. By 2015, its net worth was $5 billion. And as of November of 2016, Stripe was worth nearly $10 billion. When he isn't working, Collison enjoys flying planes, running group hikes with his Stripe colleagues, and being a billionaire because, well, he's a billionaire. Many Americans set ambitious fitness goals for the new year. Most of them won't last through January. About 80% of people give up on their New Year's resolutions by the second week in February. That's according to U.S. News and World Report. So what are we doing wrong? One physical trainer told Shape magazine one of the biggest mistakes people make is going all in on the first week of the year. Basically, an extreme switch from the couch to the gym can lead to overtraining, too much exercise with too little rest. That can lead to injuries and burnout. Once your mental resolve is diminished, you're more likely to give up on that new gym membership. Experts say to set realistic goals and avoid pushing too hard. It can be more effective to change up your workouts instead of just increasing weight or speed. People who miss their goals shouldn't give up. It's more productive to treat the first attempt as a lesson and then try again. It's also important to be kind to yourself. One psychologist told the New York Times, "We wouldn't say to a kid trying to learn something, 'That's so stupid,' but that's how we talk to ourselves." That advice sounds like it could apply everywhere, not just the gym.
A new study out of UC Berkeley says poor sleep patterns in the elderly may lead to memory problems. The study found a link between people's ability to recall information and having had a good night's sleep. This suggests if sleep can be improved, dementia-related issues might also diminish. This is because sleep plays a pivotal part in the storage of memories, because as we sleep, short-term memories move to a more permanent place in the brain. Researchers say this may be the reason elderly people without signs of dementia or Alzheimer's sometimes struggle with their short-term memory. In order to fix this, researchers say coordinating synchronicity between the big, slow brain waves and the faster waves while people sleep will result not only in better sleep, but better memory retention.
Thanks for watching. You can catch up on past episodes of Top 30 now on Hulu. You can also download the Top 30 mobile app and visit our website. We want to hear from you, so connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Like, follow, and subscribe to @Top30TV for interviews and exclusive web content. We'll see you next time on Top 30.